Are you looking for stories of business innovation and resilience? Right now, you can tune into the Wondery podcast, How I Built This, to catch bonus episodes sponsored by Klaviyo. These episodes explore the journeys of up-and-coming entrepreneurial phenoms like Fishwife, diving deep into some of the practical challenges businesses face. With the insight of some special guests, you won't want to miss this. So, are you ready to get inspired? Check out How I Built This, sponsored by Klaviyo, wherever you get your podcasts. And make every moment count with Klaviyo. Learn more at klaviyo.com/BFCM.
Chris, lay it on us. What have you decided is the most important thing for us to be talking about this morning for our listeners?
Well, we first have to just say that Justin Bieber listens to this podcast. It's that simple. Because I was remiss to not point out, and Erin Bagwell definitely, Dame Erin Bagwell, as you call her, definitely let me remember that on this very podcast, she said that they should have a baby and that should be his fix when we fix Justin Bieber. And here we are. So we stand corrected, and Justin Bieber's a listener. And hi, Justin.
Yes, another celebrity whose life has been changed by fixing famous people. You know, we only do this weekly right now, and sometimes things happen when we're off, and I think to myself, wow, I wish that we were recording today. And then other times I'm grateful we're not, just so I can gather my thoughts and not fly into a rage. Because if the question is Diddy, the answer is yeah. And now you saw it on fucking video. What the actual fuck? And I want to make a statement here. You don't know what I'm talking about. Trigger warning when you Google P. Diddy beats the shit out of his girlfriend in a public place, you will see him doing that. If this person makes one more dime off of being a celebrity from a clothing label, a song, whatever, then we as a nation deserve to have the nuclear bomb dropped on us.
Yeah, correct.
Not everyone is redemptive. Not everyone displays redemptive behavior. A person who does what we saw him do, not to mention the fact that it completely corroborates the dozens of other times he's accused of doing it.
Yeah. Like everything else that has been, this is Watergate. This is
we say that all the time, and these motherfuckers keep coming back.
No. This is, well, I will say you are right.
Chris Brown bruised the face of America's sweetheart, and the bitch still makes music.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right.
We're about to talk about Kevin Spacey, who now has other Hollywood lunatics supporting him. I mean, we are living in a simulation.
I will say that video, though, like you show that to one jury. It doesn't even matter if it's, I know that they said like, oh, it's been too long and we can't prosecute him for this crime now, which is fucking ridiculous. But regardless, you show that to one jury, he's done for. It's a wrap.
Yeah. You have that in you. There's no sort of rehab. There is no, that was a dark moment. There's no, I did that because of something. You did that because you're a defective human being. That's why. Yeah. It doesn't leave you. That sort of rage is in you in your sleep if you're able to do that to someone weaker than you like that. Fuck off.
And like, you're like, oh, I can do this right out in the open where millions of people could walk out and see me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
doesn't give a shit and kept it up. It came in chapters. First, she was on the floor. Then she disappeared, and he's throwing shit at her down the hallway.
Yes.
God knows what happened when she got back in that.
No, he's done for.
True. And Cassie Ventura, on behalf of the entire population of the world, we apologize for maybe even not believing you for 1 nanosecond.
Oh, I believed her.
Do you understand this, the level of narcissism for someone like that to even make a video apology? If you're apologizing for something, that means you think there's a chance you might be forgiven.
Yeah. Wait, he did a video apology?
Oh my God. Chris, if you watch it, you're going to lose your mind. He's just near tears. It was a dark moment of my life.
Oh,
blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know what?
Oh, you're done. Oh, he's done for. He really thinks he's getting out of this, doesn't he?
Here's my pitch. Let's put R. Kelly, Kevin Spacey, Chris Brown, That's the version of the surreal life that we want. We want to put them all in a house together, wire it with cameras, lock the doors from the outside, and don't provide food, and just watch it until they all die.
Well, and guess what? I watched this Kevin Spacey thing, and guess what? Kevin Spacey will be like, he'll be the one getting them. He'll be Dominic.
That's a serial killer. I watched it. That's someone with enough violence in them to cause actual real world death.
It was riveting. I'll tell you that much. It wasn't just this random whatever. And I'll say something. That Marine guy who was like the beefiest beefcake you've ever seen in your life, for him to sit down there and be like, everyone thinks that like, if this happened to me, I would like beat the shit out of him. And he's like, you are so in shock that you do. I like really am glad that they came. Like, I'm proud of these men that came forward for this, because it is talking about these issues in a way that we've heard women talk about again and again and again and again and again, and continued to not believe them. And to have these like grown men that could break me over their knee and like scatter my body in 17 places. Like he could rip me apart with his bare hands. And for him to say, I was completely in shock and had no idea what to do. It was like,
and if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a British documentary airing on Max called Spacey Unmasked, and 10 men have come forward, 9 of whom previously had not told their stories, about being sexually assaulted by Kevin Spacey, both in the United States and the UK. All of these men visibly shaken from what happened to them. And you might think to yourself that when you're in a bar and something happens like that, even one of the victims is gay and says, well, isn't this something that happens in a gay bar? It's not that. Like, having your dick groped while you're at work is, can you believe we even live in a world where we have to say that's not cool? And each one of these stories is so similar. He is a serial, he belongs off the streets.
No, it's bad. Like, that's predatory. That's like definition of predatory.
Well, because the one common thread with all these incidents too is that they said when it was happening, that Kevin Spacey was almost inhuman. There was it was all about violence. It was all about eliminating boundaries with people. There was nothing flirty or anything. This wasn't him trying to get laid. This was him trying to damage people the way that which is covered in the documentary, he was clearly damaged as a kid, grew up. And we've sort of known this for a while, that Kevin Spacey's dad was an actual monster.
Did I know that? Because I sure didn't until I put on that documentary. And that brother with those outfits, which P.S. like, who's his stylist? Because we need those. Like, our first live show, we need to be coming out in that like suit.
I think
with
he
the
needs
big
a fashion line. No, I feel like he's me in like 3 years. To be honest with you.
Yes. The brother
he's
is
like a male Phyllis Diller, that motherfucker.
We need
He's
to get
insane.
Dominic. We need to get to him, and we need to be like, hi, this is horrifying. However, do you want to make a lot of money? Because we have a fashion line ready to go with you.
I know someone who dated Kevin Spacey, a good friend of mine for many decades. And some of the stuff that was in that, I will not mention his name here. Some of the stuff that was mentioned in that documentary, I actually have known for many years: the Nazi father, the abuse. Of course, it's terrible. Of course, trauma is cyclical. Of course, hurt people. But you can't excuse this behavior. You can't, unfortunately, you can't say that it's okay because of that.
And not even like, people are like, oh, this person's a Nazi. And it's like, because they were anti-Semitic once. Like, no, he had like Nazi flags in their house. Like, it wasn't like, oh, haha, like this is a joke. Like, there was like swastika memorabilia in their house.
And here's the thing about one Kevin Spacey, a supreme talent, which is mostly based on him having very obvious dissociative disorder. I mean, you want to win an Oscar, have a disorder that literally makes you become someone else.
A different person, yeah. That's called method, baby.
Yeah. He could have actually, I don't want to say had a defense, but there could have been almost a mildly reasonable way for Kevin Spacey to explain all this, until Anthony Rapp came forward and said, he did this to me many years ago. And Kevin Spacey immediately came out and said, but I'm gay. Oh boy. Like that was really it. And I'd almost forgotten about that until I watched the documentary.
I did too.
Because he was raised to be self-loathing, obviously. And he thought that would be a reason for, this is what's fucked up about me. That's why I did all this. Being gay isn't what's fucked up. you. Being an attempted rapist is what's fucked up about you. It
correct.
doesn't have anything to do with you being gay. So if only he had listened or come on this podcast before he tweeted, I'm so sorry, I'm gay, we could have helped him. We could have saved some people. But, people don't want to listen to this podcast. Their lives fall apart.
Isn't he like being like, I'm not famous anymore? Like, wah, like.
Yes and no, because now he wants to start working again. And now this week, in response to this documentary, stars that we love and respect, Sharon Stone, Liam Neeson, these are people who have released statements supporting Kevin Spacey, talking about how talented he is and how he deserves to come back and all this shit. It's like, wow.
Sharon Stone's cuckoo bananas to the 9th degree. Like, so just FYI, like, I know that we love her. I know we love her, but like, she's not living on the same planet that we are.
But I want her to be my elderly Hollywood lunatic. And now because of this, she can't be. You know, like you can't excuse.
Yeah, you sure can't.
Dozens of people coming forward saying, oh, yeah, this guy's got a really bad habit of grabbing my dick without permission. You don't do that to dozens of people. And her and Liam Neeson are saying it's okay. So they're going to have to go bye-bye for me. I mean, they may have to be unfixable. And when I tell you that I love Sharon Stone in a passionate way, my heart sank.
Dominic, every person listening to this podcast for 2 weeks, if not longer, could have guessed that you love Sharon Stone.
My heart sank. I feel terrible about it. I was hoping when she said it that she'd had another stroke, but apparently she was fine and she really meant it. So goodbye, Sharon Stone.
Speaking of our hearts sinking.
Oh, God.
Every single one of you is screaming at your phone right now that we're not leading with this story, and we apologize in advance because we had to get all that rage out of the way. To talk about Jennifer Lopez. What have we done, Dominic? What have we done?
I think it's what has she done? You know, like, you know, when you're not supposed to talk about a relationship on Facebook because it's going to die. You know what you're really not supposed to do? Release a horrible album.
3 documentaries about release a movie, the trilogy of terror.
A documentary about the movie, and then trot someone that we already didn't like into your life. I mean, it is divorce watch for the Gigli clan over here. And it is who knew? There's this video.
Don't call them the Gigli clan.
But that's what they are. They're always going to be Gigli. Like if they get divorced, these are jokes. Like these are now officially jokes. Like stop it. This video of the opening night of her concert, you and Rebecca are insisting that it's true. There's no one sitting in this stadium.
It looks like there's 45 people. I mean, you wouldn't even go on the stage. Like, I wouldn't go on the stage and I'm a nobody.
I mean, I'm talking about this now, but I don't know if that video is true. It looks like she's performing at a high school gym and there's only people on the floor and no one in the stands, and it's being billed as the opening night of her tour. It can't be true. It can't be true. If it is true.
Okay, but I mean,
it didn't even look like a stadium. It looked, I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was either. All this to say, we can get really cheap tickets to go see her when she comes to Madison Square Garden. I know that much.
Honestly, I feel like it would be sad. I feel like at this point, it's like watching Kevin Spacey do his one-man Hamlet at dinner theater. Like, I just don't think I want to watch it. It's too much it's like a funeral dirge.
Everyone's a buzz. People are messaging us every 5 seconds. Like, look what you've done. Like, oh my God, can you believe this? Blah, blah, blah. Do we think they're really getting divorced? What do we think? We have to talk. I mean, because everyone, half of it is like, half of it is like, okay, they were both busy, so they're not taking photos together. Like, that doesn't mean that they're not together. But then some people are like, he moved out already. Then some people are like, I mean, what do you think it is?
When we did the episode on the Met Gala, I didn't realize that she attended alone. Something like that. And by the way, remember, we did see some shots from her where she was looking either
distraught.
A little distraught, a little not janky, but not the excellence that she usually turns out. I didn't know that she was there without him. And now that I know that this week, I'm almost 100% sure they're getting divorced. Because if you're Jennifer Lopez, there's like 3 things that matter: the Super Bowl, the Met Gala, and the Academy Awards. Like, she's not going to any of those places alone.
It's so crazy because, like, think about it. A couple years ago, remember she went on the Versace runway in like the updated version of the dress and looked incredible. She did the Super Bowl. She was on top of the world.
Yeah.
She sang at the inauguration, never forget, let's get loud. And
we remember because you sing it every week on this podcast. We try to forget, but you do sing it.
But all this to say, she was like on top of the world, and look at her now. This is her ... now.
Yeah, because Ben Affleck's scrotum is filled with career-killing poison.
It is.
That's exactly what it is.
I know, and I can't believe he got her. He was down in the dumps, trying to date Anna de Armas, not working, doing that video of that woman on, remember when he did that video on Raya? He sent that woman a video being like, look, yes. It is me. Like, what a fucking loser. And he was like down in the dumps. He got her star power and was like, look, this is fun, which I remember for years. I was like, this is a stunt. This is a stunt. This is a stunt. Then they get married. And he just, oh God, he got her. He fucking got her now.
But I almost understand. Like, if you rekindle something with your ex and it lasts a night or a week, it's more often than not a mistake. But when your ex is Jennifer Lopez and she is cresting a post-Hustlers wave, and you're still, the last image of you is wasted in the back of Jennifer Garner's car eating a Dunkin' Donuts bag, like you strapping it on like a feed bag. This was an opportunity for him.
I forgot about that.
Oh, I will never forget that. No, he seized this opportunity and she fell in love, made a movie, an album, a document. I don't even know what I forgot. I have blitzed that entire project out of my head at this point. Like, if you quoted a line from it, I wouldn't remember because I removed it from my brain.
Oh, God, what are we going to do with her?
No, it was a fever dream. And even whoever wrote the article in the Post referred to it as a fever dream. And I thought it was the perfect headline because they were just like, America's sweetheart back again. You know what? JLO, if you want to get back together with your exes, I understand Diddy has a lot of free time on his hands.
Oh my God, Dominick. I mean, all I can say is JLO.
Wear boxing gloves though, bitch. That's all I'll tell you about that motherfucker.
JLO, listen, you know where we'll be on Friday nights. We missed you by a minute. Come see us.
She's not,
and we'll fix it.
She's gonna they're gonna get divorced, and she's gonna rebrand herself now. I tell you right now, she does not want to do this tour. She does not. No, she's regretting it, and she's got to go through with it. But when she's done, Kiss of the Spider Woman's gonna come out, and that's a prestige film, and she is going to rebrand herself as like, I'm an adult now, finally, at 55, which is probably how old she'll be when the movie comes out. And she's going for that Oscar. And she's going to turn it all around. She won't tour again. She needs to just...
I mean, if they're divorced and she's like a stricken lover, you know what I mean? And she's like, I was deceived. Like, if she does one iota of press for it, in the sense of like, oh, he used me, like, we'll all be at her feet. Her
kids must be so annoyed at this point. She's she's turned into Cher's character from the movie Mermaids. Like, the kids are probably like, will you fucking stop already?
Yeah,
just stay single or just fuck everyone. Don't monogamize yourself, for God's sakes.
No, she can't though. As we know from the documentary that you've forgotten about, she can't.
What was it? I'm angry that I spent 2 hours diving into it. I wasted 2 hours of my February.
No, none of the people listening to this are upset.
I'm going to gloss over a couple of these stories because they probably mean something somewhere, but here they're just things we want to acknowledge are happening. Does Justin Timberlake have a love child?
No, even in that article, I sent that to you, but some random insane person is like, Justin Timberlake is my father and also abused me. But like, it's just some random person that's not well. You know what I mean? It's great.
I'm sorry,
it's
Justin.
Funny.
Do you think Justin paid that girl to come out and falsely say that she was the daughter? Because Justin, if you want attention, son, you got to beat up Jessica.
You're getting it.
Camera. That's what has to happen on this podcast, if you want to mention. David Copperfield. Remember this old queen? Turns out he's not a queen. There's like a dozen sexual assault allegations against him. And it's happened before. He's categorically denying it. I don't know why I'm even bringing up David Copperfield. I think because I miss my grandparents and he reminds me of them because he did like appear on Merv Griffin back in the day and they loved him.
I mean... typical magician, you know, trying to make some things disappear.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just,
we don't just report about sexual assaults. We occasionally mock them lightly, just for your pleasure, lightly.
But it's just, what a surprise. You know what I mean? You don't do all that sleight of hand just to like make people go, wow. Like, of course, he's probably a pervert. Yeah.
The real world. So you're talking about the real world benefit to magicians is that they cross the line.
They're like sexual assailants.
Yes. All right. Someone who is not a sexual deviant, in fact, is the greatest entertainer of all time on this or any other planet.
Here we go.
Sherilyn Sarkeesian, LaPierre Bonawoman. Cher, who last year said that she would never accept entry into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it took them too long to put her there, has changed her mind. And in the Sheriest way possible was just like, yeah, I was popping off. I'm thrilled. Let's do this. And has threatened when she makes her speech at the induction ceremony for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that she's just going to be reading bitches left and right. And I can't fucking wait. Of note, Christopher Michael, also being inducted this year, Mary J. Blige, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, wait, Chris, Kool and the Gang, Ozzy Osbourne, A Tribe Called Quest, and one last artist who you posted about this week saying, where the hell are they?
No,
well,
don't you dare say it to me.
The Dave Matthews Band is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay. So, as you all know, I've been on tuna fish for 3 days. People come for me. They say that I have mercury poisoning, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know what? People say tuna's disgusting. And to them, I say, shut your mouth.
Those people, honestly.
Yeah, fuck you.
Go to jail.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, maybe it was the mercury poisoning, maybe, whatever. But I was like, where is the Dave Matthews Band? Where are they? And it's people have come out of the woodwork, not only to tell me about how the Dave Matthews Band tour bus, emptied out their shit reserve of their bus onto a ship in Chicago that made 800 pounds of shit just fall all over people on a boat.
That was a big story.
I did not know that at all.
Oh my God, that was a big story.
But also, apparently, they were doing a world tour and people were reporting to me that he was forgetting the words to the songs and then screaming at the audience in one of the. And I go, ooh, it sounds like he fell off the wagon. So I don't know what shape the Dave Matthews Band is going to be in when they go to Cleveland to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but my eyes and ears will be peeled. And they're welcome for me giving them press to get them nominated. So,
because that was what it was. There's absolutely no doubt. Speaking of someone who does not need press, but keeps popping up every day because she just can't take a day off from being Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has filed a copyright application for something called Female Rage, the musical. I already hate it. I'm just letting you know. I don't know when it debuts based on the title alone.
No, I kind of am into it. I kind of like it.
Absolutely not.
I mean, but also we don't know. She could just never.
We know
she could just never do anything.
She's just gonna. It's gonna be a 3-act musical of her assaulting all of her exes, and we're gonna try to figure it out. And female rage, and
she wants a Tony. That's what it is. She wants the EGOT. You know what I mean? That's the only reason these people do this. It's not money, because it's not gonna. Theater gets you nothing. She would make more money farting into a microphone than making this.
It's not even money now. I mean, she doesn't need to leave her house ever. Sometimes when people are so obviously going for it, I want to say, can we just give it to them? Can we just give them the EGOT and move on? We don't.
She wants a Tony. That's what that is. 100%. You can't tell me otherwise.
Her lover, of course, Kelsey Grammer, is now on a Ryan Murphy series, which of course, because that makes sense when you're playing football. Of course, you are also. I'm sure everyone who still hasn't recovered from the actors' strike is really thrilled that this millionaire football player is taking roles on Ryan Murphy's series. Because he deserves
never
it.
acted a day in his life.
Nope. Sophie Jonas, from
How dare you?
Game of Thrones.
How dare you?
What is wrong? Why can't I? Is that not her name?
That is not her name.
Is she not? Is she not married to Joseph Jonas of the
Not
Jonas
anymore,
Brothers?
right?
I don't know if it's official yet, but they did split up. What is Sophie Jonas's maiden name? Stark?
Turner.
Well, she delivers an interview and she's like, Joe and I split up last year. It was a horrible 3 days. First of all, as someone who's been through more than one divorce, it affects you for longer than 72 hours, but okay.
Yeah.
And then also in this interview says, thank God for Taylor Swift, because during my horrible divorce, I stayed at her house. Didn't know that Sophie was part of that squad. So thank you for the education.
Yes, I tried to tell you about the Via Carota picture, remember? And you were
yes, I did. I dismissed it. But then talks about her daughter, who I guess is her just do they have 2 kids and this is the oldest, and just very casually mentions in an interview that she debated aborting the daughter because she thought she might be too young to have a kid. Sophie Jonas, don't say that stuff. Don't say that stuff even to your friends. Go tell a priest in a confessional booth so your fucking daughter doesn't read that, or have her friends tell her in 3rd grade. Get the fuck out of here, man. What's wrong with me? I am so angry this week. There's so much. I feel like I'm surrounded with idiots.
Well, just know that 2 returning guests that are whatever the Jonas Brothers fans are, Joe Bros, something. 2 returning guests are going to be coming on to fix Joe Jonas. Just
he
FYI.
Needs it.
Just
he
FYI.
needs it.
Very soon.
Do we need to fix all the Jonas Brothers or just
No,
Joe?
I think the other 2 are good to go as far as I'm
We'll
right?
debate.
We'll find it out.
Speaking of a return, I was very excited to hear that the Victoria's Secret fashion show is making a comeback, I believe in 2025. They have not announced how it will be different, but Chris, I would like to surprise you here on this broadcast and say, I think before they announce their changes that we should do an episode on how to fix the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea.
Because I already have ideas.
Wait, Dominic, that might need to be like rushed. We need to get up soon and do that. Like,
speaking of rushed, have you seen this video of John Legend and Chrissy Teigen shushing people out of a photo booth so they could get in there and take their turn at some event? It's hilarious.
No, what happens?
These 3 girls are in there and they'd waited a half hour to get up to this photo booth at this event, and they're in there posing and stuff. And John Legend comes in and is basically like, "You've had enough, now leave." And then Chrissy Teigen walks in, stands behind him, makes all the Chrissy Teigen faces. And these poor women, these girls, eventually have to leave. So John Legend and Chrissy Teigen don't have to wait a second longer to get their fucking photos taken.
What?
I don't know.
I knew they were assholes. You know what I mean? You're not beloved this much by everyone, and you're not like a fucking asshole.
No. Speaking of beloved, particularly by you, one Paris Louise Hilton, you know, we reported here last week that she and Nicole Richie are doing, we don't know if it's an update to The Simple Life, but they are going to be doing another reality series.
Doesn't matter. Again,
together.
them watching The Simple Life. Yeah, don't care. Yeah, whatever.
Paris is back, and you're going to be hearing a lot about her. Like, she is in a full, she's in a peak right now. I think she's more famous the moment now
than she was back then. Like, I think she's eclipsed her previous fame, in my opinion.
She was lambasted online for posting pictures of her children in a vehicle, and she had the seat strapped in wrong or whatever. And I loved her response to it. She was like, "Whoops, I'm a new mom. I'm learning as I go along. Yeah. Thanks for pointing it out." And then just moved on with her day.
We're lucky that they were even in car seats at all.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, for real.
Right.
Like, not to slam Britney, but like, remember when she was like driving with the kid on the lap? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
her children, Paris's children, they need also a strap for those heads. It's not just the seat. They need there's a full turban that they have to wear to protect their noggins. They're big-headed children.
Yes, like me.
But I don't know if you know this yet, because I only read this in one of my alerts this morning, was that there is a new animated series coming based on Paris Hilton and her real-life pets. And it's called Paris and Pups.
No.
I'm not making this up. It was in synopsis this morning. I swear to God.
What else does she want from me? Like, how can she do this?
I don't know. Maybe now that's the bitch who wants a Tony Award. Wouldn't it be funny if Paris Hilton got an EGOT before Taylor Swift?
I mean, she could. We'll give it to her. We'll give it to her. For real.
2 more things to talk about before we get into our fabulous fix today. We missed last week the Sports Illustrated swimsuit 60th anniversary issue featuring America's most beloved best friend, Gayle King, on the cover. As the kids say, she ate. That was it.
She looked great.
Ate. She looked great. She's, I believe, 69 years old.
And I like, speaking of Victoria's Secret fashion show, like Sports Illustrated, which like for a very long time in the early 2000s, we were like everyone was like, this is like body dysmorphia on display for the world to see.
Sure.
They really have been like, oh, here's like someone who's 70 that looks great. Here's someone that, and like, you can argue, like not every 70-year-old is Martha Stewart who can like pay for surgeries to make them look amazing. But like It's not just these like rail thin girls laying on a beach. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Inducing eating disorders left and right. Like they really have turned themselves around to be like, we're celebrating bodies at every age kind of a thing, which like the Victoria's Secret fashion show should take note.
Yep. They've been doing it right. Gail looks great. She's 69 in a bathing suit on the front of a magazine. I am 53. I'm in the best shape of my life, and I still wear a t-shirt when I go in the ocean because don't look at me on the beach. So Gail King, living and loving. And finally, at the risk of your clit popping off and hitting me right through the screen, do you want to masturbate for 30 seconds about the Wicked trailer?
Honestly, yes. I'm not going to lie. Guys, I'm not going to lie. In every world, I want to be like, it looks terrible, but I must say, it looks fucking good.
It looks great. It's the movie of the year. It is. It really is.
And they won't let us forget it, by the way, as you say, and you're upset about that they're already doing press for it. And it was like March and they were doing press for it. Mm-hmm. But
no, you're going to go to McDonald's in like 2 minutes and you'll be like, can I have a quarter pounder? They'll say Alphabet sauce or Galinda juice. It's going to be like, get off me.
Yeah. I will say, though, this is what they did right. First of all, the trailer's like 5 minutes long. It's not like
it's a film.
It's long. Yeah. It's longer than every TikTok you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And they, what's the word I want to use? Quell every like concern within the trailer.
Agreed.
Like it's like, okay, you hear Ariana singing Popular like ethereally in the background so that you know that she's got it. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you're nervous that she's going to make this fucking stupid? Here you go. It sounds great. Then you get to see her acting enough where she's funny and you're like, okay, she's like actually going to be able to act this role. Like it's not going to be Ariana Grande as Galinda. Right. Like she will disappear into the character.
She did great. Like, she's been playing Galinda on red carpets all year. Remember I told you Met Gala, I was like, why is she a robot? She's Galinda now. She's
pulling a Daniel Day-Lewis / Britney Spears after Crossroads where they're trapped in the character. Yeah.
Stop everything. Did you just compare Daniel Day-Lewis to Britney Spears?
Dominic.
You should burn your mic and your headphones.
Remember when Britney she couldn't get out of her character from Crossroads?
Yes, I
remember.
And
Austin Butler. She had the original Austin Butler disease.
Sure.
So that we have, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, you're nervous about Ariana Grande? Here's like 4 different things to show you that it's going to be fine. And then they won't stop putting in the final sound, like the final notes. Whereas we know like the final end of Defying Gravity that we all could sing a cappella right now.
Right. We could all sing a cappella and flat. Right.
Yeah,
now,
flat,
sure.
Yeah, and not be anywhere near in the right key. But we hear her version of that because they're from now preparing us for what it's going to sound like so that everyone isn't absolutely horrified and like upset that it's not the like the one that we know so well from Adele Dazeem herself.
In the teaser trailer, the version in the teaser trailer was different than the version in this full trailer because people were vocal about not liking what Cynthia Erivo did with it in the teaser, and they definitely did tweak it, but it's still hers. No,
but they got it out. But again, they got it out there early. Yep. They got it out there early, so they had like months of damage control to do, which is
the one thing.
Fucking smart.
Yeah. The one box that was not checked off, however, there is not hide nor hair of SpongeBob SquareClit in this trailer. Not one.
But again, smart.
Oh, yeah, because they don't want to make it all about
They don't want it to be like the, home wrecking that happened on this set. They want it to be.
I stick by what I said. I think they're going to walk every red carpet until the end of this calendar year. Separate cars, separate. She's going to walk with Cynthia and then.
I mean, separate as in like she's there and he's not invited, but yes.
No, he'll be there. But I do believe that the first time we're going to see them in public together is at that crazy ass Golden Globe Awards, because I'm sure the movie will definitely be nominated at the Globes. They very well, both of them could be as well in musical comedy.
Yeah.
I think both actresses will be nominated, but I don't know about SpongeBob, whose name I've now forgotten. Ethan
Slater.
Got it.
And this is the other thing is like every part that we were like, oh no, what will this look like? Like I'm nervous. Like they showed us the wizard in the, the golden, like, and they're not trying to be like, let's do something different. They're giving you Wicked. They're giving you the stage play in a movie.
As elevated as it can be in a movie. They're doing things in the movie that they couldn't do on stage. It seems like they are striking the balance between pleasing the loyal fans and having new people come and enjoy it. So good for them.
I'll be there. Like, I'll be in Dolby IMAX. You know what I mean? I'll be in like the Dolby cinema, like ready to go when it premieres. I'm not going to lie to you.
Hopefully we will not have to fix it after we attend the
I hope not.
screening.
I pray not. And Cynthia Erivo deserves this.
Oh, yeah. And more.
She is such an underrated talent in every single way possible.
Well, she was already nominated for an Oscar for that Harriet Tubman movie. And
but no one saw that movie.
No one saw it.
No one saw it.
But at least we can say she's already been nominated.
But she deserves this.
We have to get into today's fix. We're fixing Nickelodeon / Dan Schneider. You'll see how it goes. Now, we recorded this a couple of weeks ago. There may have been more developments in the Dan Schneider story, meaning even more people have come forward to accuse him of inappropriate behavior. So if we don't mention those more recent people, please forgive us. Sometimes we have to take a break from recording and go to bars and work.
eat tuna melts.
And eat tuna melts.
And also, guys, coming up very soon, another live Zoom. This one, I won't be hopped up on Dayquil for this one, so get ready. It's on June 2nd. It's probably going to be at 7:30. And keep your eyes peeled on the Fixing Famous People Instagram for more details.
I thought your Dayquilian performance on the last live Zoom was fantastic.
How dare you sneak in Quillian?
The moment you said Dayquil, I wanted to say Quillian. And if you don't know who Quillian is, you're not listening to enough episodes of this podcast, but we still love you.
How dare you? All right, we got to get to it.
After these incredibly vital and passionate messages from our sponsors.
You know them from their wildly popular podcast, Sister Wives : or like we like to say on the show, Butthole. Love should be multiplied, not divided. It is Ace and Katelyn Fanning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
For having us.
Claps and everything. Wow, thank you guys. I feel very
not
special.
for everyone. Not for everyone.
For those who don't know, tell us a little bit about your podcast. You guys love reality television, obviously, since your podcast is completely about sister wives. So tell everyone that doesn't know.
I mean, we made this podcast as a joke. Like, Katelyn didn't want to do it, and I kept trying to like force her. And then finally she found out Christine was leaving the family, and she was like, okay, I'll do it. And I'm like, no one's going to fucking listen to this shit. And then they did. And it's just been, but we say the worst things, the nastiest, grossest things. Like, don't listen to it if you think you might be offended, because it's awful.
Yeah.
But
and Sister Wives is the worst. It's an awful shit.
Here's the thing. And do either of you watch Sister Wives?
I've dabbled.
I do not.
Okay. For us, we have committed 18 seasons of our life to this family doing absolutely nothing
at all. Yeah.
It's like watching paint dry. And now it's finally like, finally something's happening. So it's like we're getting a payoff for all the work we put in.
We're big Housewives fans and stuff, but people are always like, will you recap that? We're like, no, that's our fun show. Like,
that's for pleasure. That's for pleasure. Yeah.
You have too much respect.
Exactly.
Well, today you're here to help us fix the one and only Nickelodeon. We haven't done a network or an entity like this in a very long time. So this is an exciting episode. You know, I'm really ready.
It's been a long time, actually, because it's like a lot of things are part and parcel here. Like, I think we're going to be ferreting our way. Oh, God, I love any occasion when I can use the verb ferreting. I have to be honest. We're going to be ferreting our way through Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider and all of this nonsense from the aughts and the tens and all of these sins from this recent documentary. There's so many. Is it Nickelodeon we're fixing, or is it Dan Schneider? I think we're going to have to discuss that at the end of this pod.
Sure. I mean, I think Dan Schneider goes right on that unfixables list. Like,
he might. He might.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a lot to fix here, you guys.
Yeah, no, it's a mess. It's a mess.
After you watched the documentary, did you watch Dan Schneider's little YouTube video he put out where he basically set up all the questions that were going to be asked of him? And he thought he came on and looked really good, but he looked like even more of an asshole.
He didn't. I watched it this morning. Are you speaking about this interview hosted by Boogie, who
Yes.
played T-Bone on iCarly. All of the things I just said were the first things I've ever said them in my life. Like first time I ever said them.
Yes.
Slam.
It was terrible.
It was like an old school like EPK. Like I couldn't believe it was 20 minutes long, and I'm like, what am I? This flowery. It was utterly ridiculous. It was utterly ridiculous. You could tell he thought he came off smelling like a rose at the end of it. And I was obsessed
you know Dan Schneider smells like a fart. Like he just
Absolutely.
stinks. It doesn't matter. He smells. And I thought it was so interesting that he brings Boogie on or whatever, because there's all these claims of him being racist. And it's like Boogie comes on. He's like, I never once felt that way. And I'm like, also, Boogie, when's the last time you had a paycheck? Like, he reached out to you and was like, can you please do this and I'll pay you? Yeah.
Well, and when they did that like reunion with like Soledad O'Brien or someone, like they did like another episode of like basically talking about the fact that the documentary got so big. And like all the people that came back to talk about like, oh, like sharing my story, they all said that he called them before it came out and was like, are you going to like stick up for me? And they're like, I haven't talked to you in 20 years. Like, what? Right. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's back up 2 seconds and let's just talk about this docuseries comes on called Quiet on the Set. I wanted to call it All Quiet on the Western Front, which is basically what it was. And it's about Dan Schneider, who is a creator of a bunch of Nickelodeon shows and all these different people that worked on these Nickelodeon shows, and how there was pedophiles working there, and you know, Drake Bell comes on and is like, I was molested when I was a kid, etc. Horrible, horrible things. It explodes. It's the number one thing on Max for like weeks and weeks and weeks. It's still probably on the top 10 now. There's articles abound. It's a huge deal. It's all anyone's talking about for those couple weeks when it first airs. They do a follow-up. He's now suing them, Dan Schneider, the creator of these shows. We touched on it right before we did an Amanda Bynes episode, and it was right before it came out that we recorded it. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but it blew the doors wide open. And so now we are. It was
funny too, when we recorded Amanda Bynes, the documentary had not come out yet. And who was our expert on that? Christine Carmelo, right? Yeah. Was just basically went on like a 5-minute tear about Dan Schneider can burn in hell and for all the shit he's done to people. And I truly was sort of at a loss, because the Dan Schneider era, I was clearly too old to have affect my childhood as far as the programming. And I'd only heard of him a couple of times, but Christine went off on him, and truly like 72 hours later, the doc dropped and all hell broke loose. And I thought that this podcast does have special powers, and I believe that was one of them, actually.
I don't think it was until your interview came out that they even went into production on this documentary. Like they were just like,
can you believe they put 4 episodes together in 72 hours?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like they just quickly did that. And then, I mean, Dan had to quickly try and book Boogie, who has just been booked up so much. And just like so much was happening at that time.
I think what took the longest was for Dan to get the hair and beard dye that he used in the YouTube interview to match.
Slam.
Because when I saw that, I mean, I'm not even joking about this. The whole time I'm looking at him, I'm like, this follicle dye is making you look like you've got kids in your pants right now. Like you got to stop.
Okay, but I'm sorry. You can't tell me that Dan Schneider and Jared from Subway are not like in the same universe. Like they're not the same person, but they are.
No, as we like to say here, inextricably linked.
Inextricably.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that.
So, okay, what are the top lines of like this YouTube like rebuttal that he posts? Because I did not. Sadly, did not.
I have to stop you for 1 second. For one, you know what's coming. On this podcast, whenever we can, we like to guess the middle name of the people that we're trying to fix. Now, since Nickelodeon doesn't have a middle name, if she did, it would probably be Louise. We're going to have our guests and Christopher every week guess the middle name of the person we're trying to fix. So let's use Dan Schneider.
Dan Schneider, you're a monster.
And we will guess, we're going to guess a monster's middle name, which is fine. All I can tell you is that he was born on January 14th, 1966. And he was born in Memphis, Tennessee.
Robert.
Robert? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of want to go with like it's just like a one combo name, Harvey Weinstein, like just right in the middle.
Is that hyphenated or spaced at all? It's one word.
It's just one word. It's just capital H Harvey Weinstein after. The W is not capitalized.
That was really good. I'm gonna guess Leonard.
Leonard. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. It is James. Daniel James Schneider.
That was one we could actually get. Like, I'm like mad. When it's so
DJ
when you can
Schneider.
actually legitimately guess it, I get so mad when we don't.
That was a lame answer. I'm sad about it. I think Harvey
that's why I went
Weinstein's
with Robert
better.
because I knew it was going to be something boring like that.
Yeah. You had your finger on the pulse with that one.
I liked your guess best, but I knew it was going to be it.
So, yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Give me the top lines of this YouTube situation.
Okay, so he starts off and he's like, I just want to acknowledge that I hear everyone and I know that I have hurt people.
Oh, brother.
But I do want to point out that this is everyone else's fault and it's not my fault. And it was just like, I was for like the first 2 minutes, I was like, oh, he's going to do this right. He's going to come. He's going to be accountable. And then it was very
Tail
quickly.
between the
he was
legs.
like,
yeah.
Yes. And very quickly he was like, but, I think it was everyone else's fault. And I was never fired from my set on Nickelodeon. I had other projects I was working on and like just zero fucking accountability. And he was such a great guy. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
It was painful because it was given what we try to do here every week. You think that the people with all the money would hire people better than us to help solve their problems. And whoever told him this was a good idea, it just wasn't. I felt like it came across as so disingenuous and he should have waited. I don't know. I feel like he thought doing it the day after the documentary aired would be good. And I felt like it wasn't. I felt like he should have just, it seemed like he was already too prepared.
We're all Googling, like, what does he have to say about this? And to have a 20-minute video sitting there waiting for you was
a gift.
Not
honestly.
what you know, but like, not for
it
him.
Felt like Hanukkah. It was
a
like
gift for you.
Night after night.
It was a gift for you. It was not a gift for him. That's not good.
No, he should have just kept his mouth shut.
I felt like it was almost, if not worse than that Colleen Miranda sings apology video.
Oof.
Like it was similar to that. Like
no,
it was
really,
just like you should stop.
That's rough. Hearing that Dan Schneider is like, it wasn't just me, and like, diverting the blame in the actual docuseries, it keeps being like, Dan says like Nickelodeon signed off on everything that I did. They signed off on all this stuff. Like there is some kind of culpability that Nickelodeon needs to have in this as well, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. And he does say, like, I didn't write every scene, or like, I wasn't the one who approved everything. Like, I thought it was weird, all the weird, like, foot scenes and the scenes with, like, cum shots to the face, but it was like something else. I was like, I don't remember that as a child, but like, that is creepy that was all in there.
When you watch it now, it's so disturbing and you're like, this is sick.
Yeah, and it's like everybody let that through.
And like we were the audience that was watching these shows. And I don't remember being like, God damn, I love watching that foot kink stuff. But now as an adult, I'm like, God damn, like this is some kinky shit.
No, yeah, and that's what's bad is like when you watch it. And I had forgotten that in the Amanda show, the girl that was her biggest fan's name was Penelope Taint. Her last name was Taint. Stop.
Yeah, I had forgotten that part as well.
Like, I never put that together.
And then they were like going over that. I was like, And then I was like, that's disgusting. Like that is disgusting. But again, he keeps saying like, they signed off on this. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There was 9,000 levels of okays that had to go through before this got on the air.
Well, in this 20-minute apology, YouTube, if I haven't mentioned it before, hosted by Boogie, who played T-Bone on iCarly, just wanted to say that again because it's the last time I'll say it in my life, was very much, saying, I was there, I didn't witness, I didn't think, blah, blah, blah. Boogie was no help at all in the entire, he provided no new information. But Dan, every time Boogie took it step by step, like what was going on in the writer's room. Oh, I'm sorry, people were uncomfortable. It wasn't everyone who was uncomfortable, and it wasn't everything we wrote that was inappropriate, but everything we wrote for kids. And maybe at the time, all of us didn't realize, but it was very much a group effort. Everyone signed off on it, like you guys were just saying. And he was apologetic, but also deliberately trying to share as much of the blame, with as many people as possible. But one thing that they did in the beginning of the apology, which I was impressed only because they were like, let's take care of this pile of shit first and hop over it, was his tendency to get or receive massages from people. And they hopped over it. And he was like, obviously that was inappropriate. I meant nothing by it at the time, etc. And I'm like, we're really not gonna.
No, but that's like,
we're gonna jump over this. Boogie, who played T-Bone on iCarly, we're really going to jump over this?
I'm going to kill you. No, but that's, speaking of Harvey Weinstein, that's his go-to move. It's like, come give me a massage so I can sexually harass you.
Yeah.
I will say, honestly, to kind of come to his defense, I am grateful that we don't have HR here for the podcast, because there's been many a times like I've pulled my dick out on my wife and stuff. And, you just like, you don't know. It's like, I don't want to. I have definitely sexually harassed her in the office for sure. I have to say this, and I think the thing that was most creepy to me, and I remembered watching this as a child, was when Amanda and Dan were in the hot tub together.
Yes.
And he's basically saying like, this is happening because I want it to happen. And you're all watching it because I can throw it in your face that I'm in a hot tub with a young little girl. Beyond creepy.
Yes.
So creepy.
Interesting flex, like of all the things you could pick. How about like, I'm a showrunner for like 8 simultaneously high-rated shows. No, take a look at the hot tub thing. That's the image I want to get out there.
And I would have loved, I know we can't really hear from Amanda. I know it's probably not the best time to hear from her, but I would love to have her take on how everything was.
But what does that mean?
I know.
Like, there's too many hoops to jump through mentally if you to get a real situation happen. She's too busy trying to pass her nail technician exam.
I'll let you know.
Imagine going to get your nails done by Amanda Bynes.
I'm like, we'd be lining up. Every single one of us would have this, like, we would have this long, like, claw, like, ugly ass. You know what I mean? Like, all 4 of us would be here on the thing like this. With, like,
honestly, it would be terrible.
Like,
I trust your artistry. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you would ask for something, and that's not what you're going to get.
No,
she will have a revelation. But I have to say, Amanda Bynes is my Roman Empire. Like, I think about her every single day. Like, just what happened there, had to be bad.
Her having many mental mountains to climb is the greatest gift to Dan Schneider, because I feel like he knows that as well. Because the question really is, how much of what Amanda is dealing with now was a result of what she went through then under his supervision. And she's so out there now that anything that she says will, at least by Dan Schneider, be treated as bullshit, or that's not what happened, or look who you're getting this information from. It's very sad for her. And even when we were fixing her, we only would hit her with kid gloves, and we only want the best for Amanda Bynes. We can't stress that enough, is that we love Amanda Bynes.
I literally love.
She was my favorite. Like, all those shows, like
how She's the Man didn't win an Oscar. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, this woman is a national treasure.
No, but and Christine and I had to like explain to Dominic. I was like, Dominic, the things she was doing on this show, the Amanda Show, when she was a child, like, grown people that are actors that have been acting their whole lives couldn't do this today. Like, now, like, it was actually.
I didn't realize how Carol Burnett-ish it was. Like, that she was like leading an empire of television, like, single-handedly. I didn't know until I did the 5 minutes of research that we did before that podcast.
But not even just that, but the fact that like Amanda Bynes was the one who kind of, we all thought, like, got out of the Hollywood star, like, child star curse, and it was like, oh, she's made it. We can count on Amanda.
We're good, guys. We did it. Like, we did it for once. Yeah.
Right when we like took a breath, it fell apart.
And now she's at nail tech school.
Yeah. Oh, I just want her to pass so badly.
I know.
I do want to get my nails done.
I know.
She'd make a killing.
I mean, now let's flip it over to Drake Bell. Comes forward and is like, there was an actual like child molester that was employed by the, employed. This is where we get to the Nickelodeon side of things. Like, this man sexually abused me for so long, blah, blah, like, was employed by the people. But Drake Bell basically comes forward and is like, here's my story about how this man who was like a dialect coach, who was like, you see in videos with Leonardo DiCaprio when he's a kid and all these other famous people, was like absolutely molesting me, blah, 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 gives his whole story. And it's really heartbreaking. And I was bawling my eyes out watching it because it was like so horrifying. And like, the guy is found guilty and then is able to somehow work on a television show again. Like, there's like industry-wide situations that are like come up in this docuseries that's really bad.
Didn't he switch over to Disney?
Yeah, after Nickelodeon, he then switched to Disney.
As a registered sex offender.
Yes. Yeah.
It takes me back to like when I watch Datelines from like a case from the 80s, and they're like, well, all the police departments didn't have a central database, so they weren't talking to each other. And it's like someone got away. I'm like, this is not the olden times. You guys were very easily could have run a background check on this guy and saw that he was awful.
Yeah.
It was the same people who are doing the background checks for Love is Blind, I think.
Yeah. No, slam. For real. Vanessa herself on like Instagram, like click back away.
Dan also talks about that pretty extensively in his apology. He talks about, his last name was Peck, the guy who abused
Brian Peck.
She talks about Drake's mother. He starts to cry in the apology video when he talks about Drake's mother saying to him, "You're so good with words and I'm not. Could you write my victim impact statement for the judge for me?" And he starts to cry and it was like, "Of course I will." And talks about how horrified he was to walk into court and see that Brian Peck had at least 50 people there, many of them industry executives there to like vouch for him, and how heartbreaking it was. And that was another part of the apology video which I thought was good, which was like, if you're accused of something shitty, make sure you name check someone who we know has done something shittier. Unfortunately, all those massages were still Dan Schneider's shoulders. Unfortunately, they were not this other dude. So
I feel like Dan was like, I'm not as bad as the Peck guy. Like,
that's what he was trying. I mean, that he was like, yes, some problem, and he was trying to come off. Boogie, who played T-Bone on iCarly, was definitely assisting him. He was definitely assisting him in trying to downplay everything. And the interviewer, I won't say his name again, was giving Dan multiple opportunities to say, if something on any of my shows was offensive or seemed too adult, take it out. I'm very publicly giving Nickelodeon and anyone who owns these properties to just take it out. And the interviewer was like, that's fair. Let's just take it out. I'm like, this is not groundbreaking. 30 Rock does it all the fucking time. Friends has done it on numerous occasions. Like, everyone knows that not all comedy ages well. So this is not, you're not saving anyone except yourself by doing this.
But that's the thing, is like, for real though, it's like, what does he have on all these people that they're coming? And like, this isn't like, I mean, it's like, I'm a child molester. This isn't like, oh, he might have like lied about blank, blank, blank. That's really bad. You know,
it's like, okay, maybe you embezzled some money. Who hasn't? You
like,
know, like
whatever. Oh, I didn't know him to be like that, blah, blah, blah. This is like beyond crime. That's not, I agree. I don't know how the fuck they got all these people.
I would actually defend someone who killed someone more than I would like a child molester.
Well, and this is, but here's the other thing. Are people going there because they're like, if he loses this, then like we look really bad because we had this guy in our midst?
That's definitely part of it. It's definitely part of it.
And that's where we start to get to the Nickelodeon side of things, where it's like, how do they as an entity like make up for this? Like, that's kind of the question that we need. Like, that's how we fix this. Is like, how do they move forward? Because I mean, it's bad. It's not good. I don't know.
When you go to the Nickelodeon website, it lists their current hits, which are SpongeBob SquarePants, which is clearly their Simpsons. Respect. It's a funny show.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande aside. The Loud House, the Patrick Star Show. Had no idea that Patrick had a spin-off.
That's fun, though.
Which is just a spin-off of
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Something called Rock, Paper, Scissors, where it appears as though all those three are they're animated characters. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then I've already said the Loud House. There's something called the Really Loud House.
Oh, brother.
okay.
And those are their top 5. 2 SpongeBob shows, 2 Loud House shows, and something called Rock, Paper, Scissors.
And then I bet you number 6 is like Extreme Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the really, really loud house.
The loud as fuck house.
The loudest house, yeah. Well, and they have about 97 different iterations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I mean, they're
That's the
busy.
other thing I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
So it doesn't sound like they're doing too well.
Do you know what, though? I will say, like, I feel like since Nickelodeon left that really cool studio on Sunset or whatever, like, it's like,
I know.
it's gone downhill, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That used to be where the miracles happen.
Like
or at
Guts,
least
remember
where we
like
hit everything.
Legends of the Hidden Temple, all those shows
That-
that we used to love.
Oh, yeah.
Legends
Oh,
of the Hidden
I've-
Temple,
Yep.
Guts,
Clarissa Explains It All.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Yeah.
Doug.
Doug.
I still know. Okay, get ready. Dominic, you're gonna die. When they would do the establishing shot of the school every single time, that they would go chicka 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 papa every single time. You remember that?
I literally just came in my pants.
They would do that. Show was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Doug was good.
Also, I mean, going a little bit older, I was probably watching it too long, but like Wild Thornberries, Rocket Power, As Told by Ginger.
I mean, Rugrats and Hey Arnold are the two best cartoons
absolutely.
of all time.
Yeah.
Rugrats is like, my whole family quotes Rugrats today. Like still now.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm still with Rugrats.
Yeah.
I mean, you would probably be happy with what's listed as under all shows. It's The Fairly Odd Parents, Alvin and the Chipmunk, iCarly, which looks to be a new version of iCarly, Monster High, Monster High 2, Slime Time, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, The Smurfs. I mean, what is happening here? It all seems like shit that we
don't use any
know.
real people anymore because.
And honestly, have you seen those Monster High dolls? I mean,
no,
sluts.
are they?
I mean, they are total like prostitutes.
They're sluts.
Yeah. No, really?
Yeah. They only wear like belly shirts.
All
and, like,
of the Monster High girls have total daddy issues. Like
they're like all whores. Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah, look at them.
Nick News is still listed. Is that a thing?
No.
It's
Nick News was so good.
Oh, what was the one where you had the head and you had to guess the words and it was like somebody's job or something? Do you know what I'm talking about? Summer Sanders. Summer Sanders was the host.
Figure it out. Yes. Figure it out.
Yeah. Thank you for figuring that out.
Yeah. Figure It Out was so good. We're just going down like
memory lane.
When I was a PA, like my first year ever working in TV, I did the coverage of the New York Marathon, and what my anchor, like, he interviewed Summer Sanders after she was done running the marathon. Like, we had to find her like at the finish line, and he was interviewing her. And when I tell you, I was having like a mental breakdown because I was like, and at the very end, I went, "I loved you and Figure It Out," and she was like, "Thank you." And I was like, it was a full circle moment for me. I was like, "Wow, look at me like with Summer Sanders."
You're like, I've made it. My dreams are coming true.
Oh God. I mean, yeah, what's doing there? You are right. I don't feel that people are like, oh yeah, Nickelodeon. Like they're not.
No.
But I guess all this is on like Paramount.
You know
Plus.
what though? Wasn't JoJo? Was she on Nickelodeon?
Hey guys, it's me, JoJo Siwa. I'm 6 foot tall.
You know, like I think she was on Nickelodeon.
I do think she was on it. We just watched that Dance Moms reunion.
We just fixed her, and she jumped from Lifetime to Nickelodeon. She got a deal, and so she pieced out on Abby and the moms.
Yep.
Yes. She just
we were
on the
big
reunion.
Dance Moms fans.
Oh, I'm really? From like 30 minutes away from where they live. So I like that was like our shit. Like we like my friends that did dance would like go up against them at competitions and stuff.
Oh, what a dream.
Love that.
I know. Dr. Holly, a queen.
Oh, she's the worst.
I know she's
I don't understand. Why is Nia not at the top of the pyramid?
Like, I'm like, why do you talk like that? Why is her voice always so shrill and just like so awful?
I love her. Who's better, Jesselyn Siwa?
No, we like Kelly and Christy.
Oh, boo. Oh, boy. Okay. Anyway, so
Focus.
I mean, it's not looking good. You know what I mean? It's a big bad press situation for Nickelodeon. And I think like for so long we've talked about like child stars and how it's so terrible and the business is so terrible. And all these people on the documentary are like, oh, if my kid wanted to be in show business, I would be like, absolutely not. Like, you're never doing it. Like every person that's been through it is like, I fucking hated this.
Right.
Even like when they were doing all that and they would go, and I remember when they did all that, like the new all that, and it was like Fear Factor basically for them. And they would like go in those like pit of snakes. And I remember them being like you see the videos of them being like, I don't want to do this. Like they don't want to, like they're verbally saying like, I don't want to do this. And they
consent doesn't matter at Nickelodeon.
And you know their parents were like, get in there and get that paycheck.
Yeah.
Lay in the box.
Well, Dan, who, you know, we're not allowing him to pitch an idea to fix himself, but he did say in this apology, hosted by Boogie, who played T-Bone and iCarly, he did say that, you know, how to make it better. And he was like, I think now what needs to happen is, you know, when kids are going to be on TV shows, we need an on-set therapist at all times. And we need to make sure they understand, you know, what is social media and what, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, a therapist is not going to do that. Like no one's going to go to a child and have them understand the impact of, you know, do you want to be on this television show? He kept saying, we really want to make sure they want to be there. A kid doesn't fucking know if they want to be there.
And like, of course they do. When you're a kid, you want to be a singer.
Of course.
Like everyone wants to be the next like Britney Spears whenever you're a kid. Do you know what I mean?
And look how that turned out.
Britney, that's what I'm saying. But yeah.
Can you imagine right now if you had a child and they're like, oh, I want to be Britney Spears. I want to twirl around in my living room and put videos on Instagram.
That's me right now. I'm like, that's what Dominic and I dream to do. I'm like, can we clang knives and have it be a national emergency? Like, and have everyone be really concerned for us?
It is bonkers, but it is truly aspirational behavior. Like if you have the money that your full-time job is twirling around like a jackass on Instagram, who wouldn't do that? I do it 11 hours a day. I'd have a live camera following me.
And burning down your gym.
That already is what every kid wants to do. They just want to be on TikTok and like do dances.
You're right.
True. Yeah. It actually is exactly what they all want to do.
She's living the dream.
Much.
Yeah. So she's the cutting edge, if you ask me. We're a very pro Britney Spears podcast as well. I mean, what else do we need to say about Nickelodeon before? I feel that we've laid it out pretty.
Oh, we've laid it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing that like we didn't quite touch on is the fact that my favorite part is that these writers came on. And I mean, I feel bad for laughing at this, but honestly, like this female writer comes on and she's hired, but they're like, you're going to have to split your salary with someone else.
Right.
Yeah. And also you're going to have to work 10 months for free and we're going to pay you for 2 months of work. And I was just like, I get it. Like it's hard to get into the industry, but at a certain point you need to have a little self-worth and maybe you should have walked out of there. You know?
Yeah. I mean,
that's definitely an unpopular opinion, but on those issues, it seemed like there was a lot of complacency and that no flags were raised ever. So I get where that's coming from. They talked about it briefly with Dan as well in the apology, and he said exactly what anyone would say. Oh, absolutely. He's like, we need to pay disparity.
It was industry standard. Honestly, it's industry standard for people to split salaries.
Yeah, he's like, we would have done it with 2 men too. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but the guy who had never had a job before,
but you didn't, right?
You didn't. You didn't. Like, you didn't. So,
oh, Dan.
Oh, God. Well,
are we at that moment?
I feel like we are.
All right, Christopher, do it.
Let's hear it.
Nickelodeon. You stand at a precipice. Now, when Me Too happened, they started hiring intimacy coordinators. They started hiring all these other things. They put in checks and balances for people to not get sexually harassed at work, for people to like be in a scene and not be like a way for a man to like attack a woman on camera and be like, that was for camera. What? Like, I didn't fuck you. What? And basically did all kinds of stuff so that they could, at least from the outside looking in, make everything safer, and was like where they could be praised for it. I think this is what Nickelodeon needs to do. Am I kind of borrowing from Dan Schneider's pitch? A little bit. They need to set up an entire system where they have like an advocate for the child that is not the parent and is not at all like from an outside counsel situation that is there to ensure that the child is like safe, not in a room with an adult alone. Not, you know what I mean? There's always another person present, which is that advocate if it's not the parent, because half the time they like didn't want the parents to be there so they could like pull fast ones on the kids and have them do stuff they didn't want to do. They could set an industry standard and start making it so much safer and actually come out of this as heroes. They could be like, look at all the stuff that we've done. We've set up all these different checks and balances. Every single person alive is getting background checked within an inch of their lives. Like all of these people, you know, this is a whole industry that they could start where they're like, okay, all these people that are going to deal with kids you have to hire, like when COVID happened, we had to have a whole COVID department exist from nothing.
Right.
This could be that, where you have the kids, you go in, they're advocating for the child, they're making everything safe, and there's all these protocols that they put into place to make sure that none of this ever happens again. They could change the industry, and I know this is not a funny pitch or a circus pitch or fun, but it actually they actually could really wind up on top by righting their wrong by letting it never happen again and setting the standard for the industry. And that is my pitch.
Wow. Dominic, how are you going to top that? That was very serious.
Very slowly. Nickelodeon. There are a lot of shades of Chris's pitch in my pitch. I'm going DEFCON 1. I'm going ham. I'm going full enchilada on Nickelodeon with this. I think Nickelodeon should release a statement that they will only do animated programming. They will do no live action programming with actual children. Because, as I've said on this podcast before, children do not belong in show business, period. All child roles should be played by diminutive adults. And I'm only 5% kidding about that. It doesn't work. We have a society, and I feel terrible saying this in front of a pregnant person, but we have a society that is built so if you don't screw your kids up by the time they're 5 years old, their phones will fuck them up by the time they're 10. We are breeding a generation of people with anxiety who are not famous. There's no way a kid or their family can say, sure, let's sign on to this, but we're going to be extra careful and make sure they don't fall into this trap. The ratio is not good anymore. It's just not good. And if you weren't touched inappropriately or assaulted, you at least know someone who is, or if you were a former child star, you have stories about a whole bunch of inappropriate shit. So Nickelodeon should just say, you know what, we really will be the leader here. We're only going to do animated programming and other stuff for kids, but we're not going to make children celebrities anymore because there's a 65% possibility that they are going to be traumatized and pass that on to other people and be a bad example, ruin their own lives. And I think they should just say, we love kids so much, we're not going to make them famous anymore. We're going to do programming for them, but without them until we conduct a very public multi-year investigation into why the business of children being famous is so scandalous. And that's the way that they can be the leader and sort of be their own government office on they'll be experts in what's happening with children on sets. Because as a producer, I can tell you on a reality show, we have a mind-numbing amount of qualifications when we're going to have a minor on set. And they can't even be there. This might be an exaggeration, but they can't even be there for more than a couple of hours. And if they're even there for longer than an hour, there has to be an on-set nanny or tutor or something. Like when we hear a kid's going to be on set on a reality show, we do everything we can to make it not happen. Because it's truly it's a liability in every sense. So to hear dozens of people coming from Nickelodeon talking about all this shit, my first thought as a producer was how the fuck does this happen? I can't even get a tangential cast member get their diaper changed on set without having a form signed in triplicate and doing it on camera and having a video and testimonial. It's crazy. So they clearly can't get it right. So stop doing it and figure out what you're doing wrong. And that's my pitch.
Ooh.
So I think it might be a bad time to mention that, yes, Katelyn is pregnant and we have a lot of meetings already set up with agents for our baby because we just want to get them in there as quick as possible.
Yeah, like,
we were hoping it was twins. So
yeah. Using the sonogram as a headshot. Yeah.
Yes. We're trying to get her on Euphoria whenever it's back. Just thinking she'd be good on that. But can I also say, Dominic,
moving to the Oakwood apartments.
Yes, we're moving to the Oakwood apartments. Dominic, I appreciate you so much because I fucking hate kids on reality TV. Like, get off my TV. I want to see old women fight. I don't care about your stupid kids.
We're always on Housewives. So we're like, no more. They can be in the background, but they can't be.
There's nothing worse than as soon as we got that, like, as soon as a housewife gets like a pregnancy test, I'm like, get the fuck off my TV, goddamn it. I don't care about this.
Well, also the kids, like they start off, I won't name any people specifically, but you'll know who I'm talking about, but they start off adorable and then they grow up on these shows and inevitably end up having to defend their family on social media once they're old enough. And then they get embroiled in all of this shit. Like just kids should just be left out of it. And I've also already pitched that if you are a child star, you need to take a Rumspringa and go away for like 2 to 3 years before we'll let you become a child star, because an adult star, you got to get your head right before you're going to transition into that role. And as a life rule for everyone, I want to say, if you suspect that a documentary about you is going to air on Max, put rocks in your pocket and jump somewhere. Like you're done. Like it's just Woody Allen.
Yeah, you're done for.
Oh, the documentaries on Max. Now Kevin Spacey. It's like one after the other. Max is just annihilating the entire industry.
Okay, can I just say something? Because I feel as though both of you took like a very serious route, and I think that you're really changing the world. But what wasn't really talked about is just like the slime ball optics of it all. And I'm wondering, does Nickelodeon clean house and we only employ women? You know, like we're going to show people like, oh, we're only employing women. You know what I mean? And then number 2, do we make sure that like we have a show where it's got a lot of diversity on it so that people are like, oh, okay, like Nickelodeon's coming a far way. Then do we bring Nick at Night back? Because the parents are going to be like, oh, I want to watch Nick at Night. Like you got to get the parents back there first. You know, and again, this is not fixing any problems. This is simply just being a slime ball way of them fixing their name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like we don't care that they did all this because we have Nick at Night again. Yeah,
exactly.
I think Nick at Night does exist. It's just like Friends that they're putting. It's not like I Love Lucy. It's like Friends, which is like so upsetting because we're old. You know what I mean? It's like it's for the kids to be like, what was this ancient TV show? Oh, it's called Seinfeld. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're like. It's Friends that they're putting on there, not like Happy Days, which is what we
I can remember being 10 and just like watching Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie all night.
Yeah. And like watching like Vita Vita Vegemin and like the chocolates, like, you know what I mean? Like the classic I Love Lucy, like beyond famous ones, like on Nick at Night every night.
So I think you guys both have, I mean, beautiful approaches of actually fixing a problem. I just simply supplied just a really shitty way of trying to get their name cleaned up.
But I think you're trying not to save the world, but you sort of are a little bit with your idea. You're trying to be cool about it, but honestly, putting women in charge probably would solve the problem as well.
I feel like the whole world would be better if women were in charge. Like we're fucking
We keep
idiots.
trying though. I mean, we do.
And then to those 2 women that were like paid half a salary, they're the new like heads of development of the network.
Yes, we,
you know what I mean?
Them
like, are they?
And give them double.
We give
they're
them double
going right
salary.
to the top. Yeah.
Yes.
That would look good, especially after the documentary.
It's too far. It's just like everyone at my weed store is someone who served time in jail for selling weed, and that's the same concept.
Now, Dominic, do you want to throw something in to add to this, and then we could all win together as a?
What do you mean?
Like, I just gave a good add-on to their idea. Like, do you want to have an add-on, and then no one has to lose in an unprecedented?
What thing? To do like we'll determine it's a 3-way tie?
Yeah.
Guys, I've always wanted to have a 3-way.
I mean, we just met. Never. If I had that effect that quickly on people, no, there's no way. He'd never be on this microphone. I'll tell you that now. Can I have a 3-way with you guys? Just don't talk. We'll sign our way through it. We're not taking that out. I'm leaving it in there.
Do you think that, so we bring those women, we move them to the top of the pyramid. They are the head honchos there. Do we also start a wellness camp retreat for previous child stars?
No. And we put them all there in the wilderness camp?
And maybe cameras roll here.
No, that's a shit. I was going to say, that's a show.
It's like the actor's home, but the only person there will be Amanda Bynes.
It's Sober House with Dr. Drew is what it is. They made that show already.
Well, guys, I don't know what my add-on would be. I mean, a signature pastry. I'm not sure what I would add on to them just decimating their entire lineup and just doing cartoons.
You know what? Maybe they partner with Target because like Target's always being diverse, you know? And so if Nickelodeon can strike a deal with Target, then it's like, guys, we've done everything. We've hired only women. We have a kid in a wheelchair in an ad. We have a sober living house and
a wilderness camp,
a wilderness camp for them. And then a deal with Target, you know? It's everything.
What you've described here sort of sounds like a movie about the future where everything is just incredibly fucked up. It sounds like the WALL-E spaceship, what you just described. Like that's what's happening.
I mean, should we put it to a Patreon vote?
We should, but I think we need to be clear about what the lines are. You know what I mean? So like, let's just slug them so people aren't confused.
So mine was like, start the industry standard for child stars and like, what the checks and balances need to be for them.
And mine is to wipe all children off the network and do a years-long investigation into why child stars are routinely so screwed up.
Beautiful. Ours is simply just put the problem and swipe it under the rug and not really deal with any actual problems. Just do the
and hire women and have diversity on the shows.
I like that on the week when we don't have a circus pitch, people come in and do like the ultimate circus pitch. Just ignore it.
I do apologize. I do apologize.
Don't at all. We got too serious. Usually Dominic is like, they should shoot Dan Schneider on camera.
Well, we could add that.
We'll add that to ours.
Good in ours.
Yes.
But yours is not. Yours is also not, is it? I mean, sweeping it, but I love the idea of women coming in and taking over. I think that's sort of a key component. I know
to be completely serious, I think that it does need to be run by all women. I do think that like background checks are probably just like, maybe we should add that as a standard.
I honestly am on Dominick's side here with this one because I feel like even people who are supposed to take care of the children and be in their best interest won't. And their parents are the worst of them all.
True.
Like, if your parents can't do
and
well
then that
for you,
girl who did,
this is why your own wife is turning on you. This is why I don't do three ways. It's because it gets very awkward. What am I supposed to do now? What am I? Who do I favor now?
Honestly, it's just like now it's like I'm sitting on the corner of the bed and you guys are going at it, and I'm just like awkwardly here. You know,
you've been cucked. You've been cucked, and you're poor. How pregnant are you?
Very pregnant.
Yes, I mean you appear to be, so this is even more awkward than we thought.
I mean, I'll let Dominic get a win. Caitlin, if you think that's
I love
the best
your
one,
idea. I just think people don't care about children.
No, I think you're right. I kind of think that you're right. I think it's the only way to stop this is to eliminate the children.
Not people who want their kids to be child actors.
I think I'm also going to give it to Dominic only because I am really rooting for that woman who went on The Voice, who used to do the voice for Tommy Pickles. She would have so much more work if they got rid of kids and she could just do all the voiceovers.
And the guy on The Valley.
You mean E.G. Daily?
Yes. Oh, yeah, the guy from The Valley. Like, he needs more work.
How dare you?
They need a bigger house. They need a bigger house.
They cannot live in this apartment any longer with 3 children. It is squished. He needs work. He needs
3
to get
under 2.
3 under 2. He needs more work on Nickelodeon.
So Dominic, you win.
Dominic wins.
I'll take it. Done. And now Academy Award winner Linda Hunt will be appearing on Nickelodeon 3 times a day, playing all the roles at just 4.5 feet tall. Introducing Linda Hunt, formerly of NCIS Los Angeles, I believe, as the new face of Nickelodeon.
Dear
My
God in
times
heaven.
turned. Thank you for that win. It took a while to get there, but I'm happy with the result.
Oh my God.
As far as 3 ways go, success for me, honestly.
I think you
and only you.
Yeah. You for sure finished. I'm still sitting here
is
just
typical.
I mean, the Fannings, Ace, Katelyn, where can people find you? Thank you for being here.
I mean, if you weren't offended by us today, then you can find us at Sister Wives, Love Should Be Multiplied, Not Divided, or we're on Patreon. But like, if you don't even try to like dabble with a three-way
like
Patreon,
begging you not to, sign up.
Like,
we encourage people not.
The
to
amount
sign
of
up
people
for
who
Patreon.
come to our Patreon are like, "Oh, I knew you said it was gross. I didn't know it was this gross." I'm like, "Well, I told you. Like, it's disgusting."
So start there, and then if you find your way to our Patreon, then great.
Then hang out with us there.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And where can people find you on Instagram?
Nowhere.
We don't have any.
Oh no, we do have an
business
Instagram.
Oh, we do.
It's at Shit Talk, but
Shit.
there's only one T because I couldn't spell shit on Instagram, so it's just Shy Talk.
Oh, bro.
Shit Talk
Shy Talk.
podcast or pod.
Oh,
What
is there a pod?
I don't know. Something
Dominic,
like
You'll
that.
find it.
Dominic, where can people
Go
find
to
you?
it right now. You can find me at my website, which is domentary.com, or on my socials, which is Dominick Pupa, or the Fixing Famous People Insta page. I am also doing a Pride show at the Cutting Room on June 29th, which is Pride Saturday here in New York City. The name of the show is We Get It, You're Gay. And it is a Pride Fagtacular. Please go to my website or the Cutting Room's website for tickets. Christopher,
That sounds fun.
Michael, DeRosa, as I ask every week, but forget because I smoke so much weed, where can the listeners of this podcast locate you on the World Wide Web?
We haven't done that in a long time. You guys can find me at the Chris DeRosa. You can find the show at Fixing Famous People, and you can find the Patreon at patreon.com/fixingfamouspeople. I wish you all well. And as always, where's Shelly? Goodbye.